Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So you guys probably don't know this, but I recently made quite a big career change from the banking industry to the design industry. I'm a freelancer now and I used to work in a branch. I've done like different roles like tellers, financial advisor, assistant branch manager, but ultimately it wasn't the right career path for me. It wasn't fulfilling and it wasn't what I saw myself doing in the long term. So today I thought I'd share my tips of how you can make a career change just like I did and make it go as smoothly as possible, or even just how to know when it's time to quit your job and move on to your next opportunity. So if you're thinking it's time for a change, stay tuned to find out what you can do to make the transition go smoothly and find out the signs that tell you that it's definitely time to start looking elsewhere. So my first sign that I noticed myself doing when I realized it was probably time for a new job was that I was always looking at the clock. So I know people always joke about this, that time goes by way slower when you're at work, but honestly I think that when you don't like the role you're in, it goes by even slower, and I was honestly checking the clock like every 5 minutes, thinking that it was almost time to go home hopefully, but then obviously only like 5 minutes went by. I think that was a big sign that I should start looking for a different either type of job or different career, because once you're looking at the clock that much, it's clearly a sign that you're not enjoying your time there and you just want to get out of there. So you may think that it'll be like this at any job you work at because who likes to work? But I found that when I'm working on projects I genuinely enjoy, like when I freelance, or even when I was working on some school projects that I liked, or even when I worked at some part-time jobs that, you know, were decently fun, I wasn't really looking at the clock and honestly time flew by, and I feel like that's how it should be in your workplace. So my second sign that you should probably start looking around is that you lack motivation. For me, I think this was a big one because I noticed that as the days went by, I just was less motivated to do my work, less motivated to hit my targets, and just overall less motivated to even get up in the morning because I knew that I had to go to work as soon as I get up, pretty much. For me, this feeling definitely progressed, and once I really started feeling that lack of motivation take over, I did kind of take steps to try and look for other jobs or look for other career paths that I thought would be more suitable for my personality and suitable for my end goals in life. I think that once you kind of start noticing that in your workplace environment, it's definitely time to start looking, or even time to start asking for a promotion so that you can have another learning opportunity and another job where you have more room to grow, because sometimes you just outgrow a job and that's totally normal. So as a side note though, I do want to say just because you're starting to lack motivation does not mean you should stop trying at work, because those are important references and relationships that you want to build and keep in your future. So even though I was not motivated to be there and do the work, I still made sure that I was hitting my targets and I was doing a good job, because I didn't want to like have a bad reputation when I left. I wanted to leave on a really good note, and I think that's important. Just persevere through it a little bit because something better is going to come soon. You definitely want to leave a good impression everywhere you've worked. So now we'll move on to my third sign that it's time to get a new job or a new career. So my third sign that you should probably move to a different career, role, or job, or even company is that the only thing that makes you happy about your job is your coworkers. I found this to be the case a lot for me in my previous roles, especially pretty much like all of my roles at the bank. Every position I worked in and every company I worked at, I always loved the coworkers, and that was kind of the main factor that was keeping me there, because I genuinely became friends with those people. So in that sense, it was fun going into work because I could go catch them up on my life, they catch me up on theirs, and it was generally like a good environment to be in. So that sometimes I feel like stops people from actually moving on from a job, because they're comfortable there, they know everyone there, everyone's kind of like a little family, so they don't want to lose that and risk not having any friends at the new job or not liking the people at the new job. But really it is what you make it, and I've pretty much had friends at all of my jobs and had a really good atmosphere there. So most likely you will have that same environment again, but it just takes time to build it sometimes, and you just have to take the step and move in that direction. But you'll never know unless you move out of your comfort zone and take the next step you need to in order to get a new job or a career. So my fourth sign is probably one of the most obvious signs on my list, and it's that you are constantly searching for other jobs online, even potentially when you're at work. Nearing the end of my career in the banking industry, I guess, I was constantly looking up other jobs, whether it was, you know, on my free time or at work when I had some spare time. I was looking to see what other roles were available in my city and what kind of roles in my actual field that I wanted to work in were available, which at that time was honestly like anything remotely creative. I didn't really niche down into like UX design at that point. Through doing that, I realized that I wanted to get a little bit more schooling to have the skills that I needed for this creative career path I wanted to pursue. So that's when I decided to go back and get my master's in something a bit more creative, and I can't remember if I've mentioned it on this channel yet, but my master's was in digital experience innovation. So it was really a mix of business and creativity. So I've always loved business and I've always wanted to kind of continue a career in business some way, but I also wanted to add that creative aspect into it. So whether that's graphic design, UX design, project management, marketing, I honestly am open to all of those areas in the future, but as long as they're kind of coupled with the business aspect that I do enjoy. That's how I came to realize that it's probably time to switch careers, because I was literally always looking at other jobs. Even if I wasn't necessarily planning to apply to them, I really just wanted to see what was out there, and the fact that I was doing that showed me that this career wasn't right for me. So my fifth sign is that your mood always drops when you get into work. I noticed this in myself a lot. Whenever I got to work, I kind of became really like lethargic and tired, and I just wasn't myself. Even when I was getting ready for work in the morning, I wouldn't put in that usual effort into like my makeup or my hair or even my outfits. Like I literally was just like grab and go anything from the closet, put like the bare minimum into my face and hair, and like usually I just like tie my hair up because I didn't even feel like doing it. And to me, I feel like that was a sign, because usually I'm like the opposite of that. Like I do care about what I'm wearing, and I like to be like a little bit done up, especially for like a full day setting. To me, that was a big sign. And you know, when you just feel your mood drop as soon as you enter a building, I think it's clear that for some reason you don't want to be there, whether that's the people, which wasn't the case for me, but the people, or like maybe it's a toxic environment, or the job itself, or just the industry itself. Whatever reason that may be, that I think is a sign that you should start looking into something else and start figuring out why you're feeling like that. And I know sometimes it might be personal reasons that you feel like that, but for me, like everything was great in my personal life, so I knew for sure that it was the job that was really like bringing me down, and it was the reason, like if I ever was feeling like tired or, you know, not great, that was why. And my sixth and final sign that you should move on to a different job or career is that the job is no longer serving you as a person, so you're not growing from it and you're not learning anything else. This kind of happened to me. I mean, I wasn't at the point where I was in like the highest level or anything where I couldn't learn more, but in a way I felt like once you kind of learned all the processes to the job, it was just kind of repeat, and there wasn't really much else to learn apart from like, you know, little things here and there that came up. But generally the job was the kind of the same day in and day out, and for me, I felt like I wanted more. This might be true to you as well, and it doesn't mean that you have to change your career path by any means, but it might signify that you're ready for a new role that challenges you a little bit more, or that requires you to take more responsibility. I feel like it's not good when you're in a role that you just kind of, you know, glide by and you don't really have to put in much effort and it doesn't really challenge you, because I feel like that's also when people start getting unhappy in their roles. And it's fun to go somewhere where you don't know everything and you do have to learn stuff. That's not necessarily what was happening in my case. With this new career path that I'm doing with like design and stuff, I feel like there are constantly things to learn and different way to do things, and then a lot of different career trajectories for what I could do that would require me to learn a new skill or two or become a team lead or something. So it really has a lot of options for me, and yeah, I feel like it's good for anyone to have that sort of mindset of growth and constant learning in their career. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that these helped if you guys are thinking about changing your career or job and switching to something else. By no means are these like solid rules that if you feel one of these things you have to leave, but I just kind of want to share my experience and the things that I felt when I was in a career that I wasn't completely happy with. And if anyone else is feeling like this and they're unsure whether they should make the step, I think that if you are feeling like all of these things like I was and even more, then it's probably time to start looking at your options. I don't recommend just getting up and quitting unless it's a horrible place that you're working at, but I would recommend planning beforehand, because you definitely don't want to be in a position where you're jobless and you don't have any prospects and you're just kind of not really doing anything. I always think that the best time to find a new job is when you already have a job, because then there's no risk and I think you're a more attractive candidate to others as well because, you know, they see that you can already hold down a job, so it makes you a little bit more desirable in their eyes. So definitely I would say have some sort of game plan going into this either job or career change. If it's a career change, I would say plan it a little bit more. So for me, I told myself I'll apply to this program, and if I don't get in, then I'm gonna stay here and like figure out another plan. But if I get in, then I'll quit my job and then start my master's. So luckily enough, I did get in, so I was able to quit and then focus completely on school. I definitely think you should have some solid steps in place if you are going to make a big jump like that. And it never hurts to have a job while you're looking for another one, because you can always negotiate your salary potentially by leveraging the current job that you have, if you know the roles are similar or if it's slightly higher than what you're doing. But if you're changing careers completely, then you can't really be too picky because you're probably going to be a beginner at whatever company or job you're applying for. So if you think these signs were helpful to you, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I'd love to hear any experiences you guys have had with changing jobs or careers. I know it can be super scary to even think about doing something like that, especially if you're making good money, you're in a good role, you're comfortable. It can be a really big risk and a really big step, but I think if your happiness is at stake, then it's always worth it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.